How's it going, guys? We're back with another Team 7-round mock draft. This one is the Chicago Bears, who have the 8th overall pick in the upcoming draft. This is a special mock draft because usually I'm by myself here, but I got the Bears guru here, our Bears guy, our Chicago guy. He's gonna give his takes, on my picks, his thoughts. He didn't make no picks here. I made all the picks. He hasn't seen them yet. So we're gonna get his take. But it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Your opinion, what are the Bears? Maybe give me 3 of the biggest needs going into the draft. I know we got free agency to come too, but just talking draft, or off season, 3 biggest needs.
I'm going to say in order, receivers, number 1.
Pretty obvious.
Pretty obvious. Number 2, I'm going to say corners. At this point, we don't know Amukamara and Fuller's, I guess, future with the team. So I'm going to say corners. And last but not least, with Jarrell Freeman being cut, I think that linebackers has to be looked at, especially and also with the injury, I guess, history of the linebackers.
Okay. So yeah, it's pretty tricky with the first pick. I know a lot of people want Calvin Ridley. I'm not a fan of Calvin Ridley. I mean, I think he's a good player. He can be a good receiver. I'm nowhere near as high on him as everyone else. I think pick 8 is too early for any receiver in this draft and pretty much any draft looking at the past. I like Cortland Sutton, but I don't know if he fits the offense. And again, like you said, they could use some linebacker help. There is linebackers worthy of the spot. But I went in the first round. I actually went with Josh Jackson, the corner from Iowa. I think, in my opinion, cornerback is maybe one of the best, maybe one of the second or third most important positions in sports lately. I think you need multiple number 1 corners. Again, yeah, they could go with one of the linebackers here. I don't know if any of them specifically fit Jarrell Freeman's spot, but then I was thinking Jarrell Freeman was pretty much out most of last year. Some of those, along with those good linebackers, and they were still pretty good, top 10 defense. Mm-hmm. So their backup linebackers aren't bad. Yes, they do need more linebackers, but I thought corner being a very important position, and Josh Jackson led the nation in interceptions. This guy may lead the league in interceptions early on in his career.
He can ball.
And he can return the ball if he picks it off too, very well. I think he's number 1 corner in the draft. There's all this Denzel Ward talk. I like Denzel Ward, but Josh Jackson I like more. He's my number 1 corner, no doubt about it. Something I noticed, a lot of guys in college that got a lot of interceptions may have gotten them because they got beat. There was a good cushion in between them and the receiver. Quarterback 99% of the time doesn't make a perfect throw. So then they make a play on the ball and pick it off. That's not Josh Jackson's case. Technique, he has the technique. He has the ball skills. He's sneaky. He can sneak up on you. He can pick it off. So he really has all the traits that you look for in a corner today. So I have Josh Jackson first. Now, they do need a receiver badly, so I finally went with them next, second round, Michael Gallup, the wide receiver from Colorado State. A big riser. Honestly, I think he can sneak in the first round. There's not much of a difference between him and Calvin Ridley, who people want at 8. So that's why I like Michael Gallup in the second round. Trying to find negatives, weaknesses for Michael Gallup. Really the only one is he played for Colorado State, who's still an FBS school. Played weaker competition next to a Calvin Ridley. Played good against Bama, actually. They're maybe the best hands in the draft, too, looking at Gallup and James Washington. Very good hands, makes big plays. He really can do it all. He's a safe pick, I think. So I like Gallup on the Bears. He really could do it all, too. They liked Meredith, who really could run any route, do it all. They could bring him back. Was hurt last year, but I think this is kind of Mitch Trubisky's type of guy. Like Meredith, like Gallup, really can run all the routes. And another good thing about him is he's very good after the catch. Very good after the catch. All over the field. Any spot of the field, short routes, medium routes, long routes. That's why I like him. What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of like a second-round receiver. The first-round receiver just scares me. If I'm a Bears fan, taking a first-round receiver scares me. So I like this, picking up a nice, kind of like we need a playmaker. We need a playmaker, and we're getting one at both the corner position and at the wide receiver position, and I like that.
So the next pick is round 4, and I have another receiver. He's DJ CHARK, wide receiver from LSU. They do not have a third rounder for the Mitchell Trubisky trade. DJ CHARK is that speed guy. I think he can run all the routes as well, but he's a deep ball. Reminds me of Will Fuller a little bit, like the smaller speed guy, but is really good at the deep ball. Like usually it's a bigger receiver like that, but This guy will get open downfield, so that'll open things up. You got Gallup and maybe Meredith and Kendall Wright in the slot that are opening things up in the middle, shorter of the field. Now this guy will get deep and get open. I think he'll be a better pro than he was in college. You know, the LSU quarterback situation is never good, so I think he'll be a better pro. Looking at Odell Beckham, was way better pro than he was in college from LSU. Yeah, I'm not going to compare him to Odell Beckham, but he's pretty good. I think he can be a returner as well. So this guy's range is like around 3, 4, third or fourth round, I should say. So grabbing 2 receivers in a row is a good strategy. We'll get your take on this. I'd rather have like these 2 receivers than just like 1 receiver in the first and then a late receiver. That's my opinion.
No, yeah, I agree. And especially these 2 receivers being 2 different styles that they make the offense kind of
just opens things up, even for the running game.
Yeah.
Even for
every possible way.
It's a Nagy type of guy. This is a Nagy type of guy.
I like it. No, I love it.
You love it? That's good. On to the next pick, it's another 4th rounder, and it's another cornerback. MJ Stewart from North Carolina University. No, University of North Carolina, I should say. Physical corner, a lot of pass deflections. Something I noticed about corners over the years from college to the NFL, the guys that were consistently getting pass deflections, pass breakups, ended up being pretty good in the NFL when they did it against good competition in college, and MJ Stewart's one of those guys. Maybe a year ago, I viewed him as a second rounder, pushed back, not really because of himself, because the other corner talent, a lot of good corners in this draft. He can go round 3 or 4. I like him a lot. Just imagine pairing him with Josh Jackson. Those are 2 number 1 corners. Even if you get Fuller back, you play him in a nickel. I think they're both better than Umukamara early on in their career. I just like that duo. That duo of Jackson and Stewart just sounds great.
Yeah, 2 physical playmakers. I like it. The Bears kind of missed that defensive playmaker last year. We didn't really have – Eddie Jackson was the standout in terms of taking the ball away and like being a playmaker on D. And
imagine if you had some big-time corners like that.
Right. So I like –
It'd be scary.
Like the pick.
For these guys, the 2 corners to grow together, too, to develop together, you're going to have 2 top corners. You're going to have 2 top corners in the future.
I think with a guy named MJ, he belongs in Chicago.
From North Carolina, too.
It's
a sign.
The arrows are pointing to Chicago.
On to round 5, I got BREELAND Speaks, defensive lineman from Ole Miss. He's a big boy. I mean, at this part of the draft, there's not that many true 3-4 DNs, and I like him as a 3-4 DN for the Bears. Right away wouldn't start, possible starter of the future. They could use some depth there, so it just makes sense. You're running low on this point of the draft on the defensive ends, and yeah, why not grab him?
No, I like him. I like, especially at the D line position. I like a guy who wouldn't necessarily say he's a big project, but he's a project because he's got some good guys to learn behind. And I like that.
Yep. On to the next pick is the 6th rounder. It's Christian Sam, linebacker from Arizona State. Now you may be thinking, why did it take so long to get a linebacker? And the Bears may need it. Again, I think their backup linebackers from last year end up being their starters. We're pretty good. They had a top 10 defense because of them. Maybe not as big of a need as people think. It's still a big need, especially if they continue to release guys. Christian Sam's a sleeper. He could go earlier in this. Very athletic. First step is great. Burst is great. There is elite talent at linebacker early in the first round. Elite talent. So the Bears may grab one of those guys. But then there's a big gap. Like the last round where I had them taking a defensive end that maybe they didn't need as much as this position. There was really no linebacker that I think was very valuable then. So if Christian Sam's here in the 6th, it makes more sense. So and honestly, it would be linebacker depth at this point. So if they don't go one with the first or in the second round, they may be looking at free agency for linebacker. Obviously, free agency is before the draft, but looking at it from now.
Yeah, they seem to like the free agent linebackers, but they get banged up all the time. Both McPhee, Willie Young, Freeman, and there's just no history there. So, like, they got to try bringing in some young talent through the draft.
I agree. On to round 7, there's another linebacker. This time it's an outside linebacker, BELLAMY from Georgia. He can be your 3-4 outside linebacker, playing opposite of Leonard Floyd maybe in the future when he develops. Leonard Floyd also from Georgia. Georgia connection.
I'm seeing a connection.
If you watch the tape on this guy, 1 second he looks like he's a day 2 maybe guy, then 1 second he looks lost. So does need some developing. He's a good athlete. He has the potential. A team like the Bears, that on paper, if you watch their games last year, they show their depth chart, who's starting. It didn't look that good, but the defense played pretty good. So obviously they got some good coaching in there, and they kept their defense coordinator. So maybe he can develop this guy into a better player than a 7th-round pick. So that's why I like him to the Bears there.
I like the Georgia connection.
Like it?
I like it.
And, I mean, Roquan Smith, the linebacker from Georgia, it could be the option at the 8th pick. I was thinking that. It was between Josh Jackson and Roquan Smith. If they start releasing more linebackers, then it's probably going to be a guy like Roquan Smith, Tremaine Edmonds, maybe Rashaan Evans, those elite linebacker talents. But Josh Jackson, you don't come across a corner like that all the time. You saw one with I compare him to Latimer. You can compare him to Latimer from last year, was the obvious choice at the top of corner, defensive rookie of the year. So honestly, I like Josh Jackson a lot. He could be better than Latimer in terms of picking the ball off. So takeaways, which the Bears need. So I like that at 1, but it could very easily be a linebacker. It could be a receiver. I don't know if I'd agree with it. But again, day 2 and early day 3, which is the 4th round, very good for receivers and corners. So the Bears can stack up. They're in a good spot to do it. You know, they don't have a 3rd. I can see some trade action happening.
I want to in a perfect world, I want to trade down from that 8th pick.
From the 8th pick?
Yeah, I want it down. And there's so many teams that want to take a jump to maybe 8, maybe higher for those quarterbacks in the draft. So I can see it. I see it as a really good possibility.
Let me give you a scenario here.
I'm here.
Bills trade their 2 first-rounders up.
I need more than 2 first-rounders.
You need more?
I need more.
It wouldn't be much more. But
I would give one of my later rounders to get
an earlier one?
Yeah.
Let's say you got those 2 picks, early 20s from the Bills, back-to-back picks.
And give us a 3rd.
And, it's hard to say positions. I'm a fan of the best player available. But what you're looking at receiver and corner with those 2 picks, that's a good spot for it because you move back, you get your Calvin Ridley or your Cortland Sutton, or even Gallup might be, who I had him taking in the 2nd round, might be taken in that spot.
Taking both of those Bills picks?
Yeah, and then a corner with the other one. At the back of the 1st round, I like Carlton Davis. I like Denzel Ward. If he drops, Josh Jackson won't be there. But I think that's better. I think that's better.
I would take that pick.
I'd rather have like multiple, even 2nd-round picks. I'd rather have multiple picks on day 2 than an early 1st and then a late 1st on day 1. That sounds weird, but the talent on day 2, if you have like 4 picks on day 2, it would be ridiculous because the talent on day 2 is not much different from day 1 in this draft.
I agree.
Most drafts, you'd rather have the ones, but this draft, there isn't much separation there. Day 2 is going to be great, so the Bears could take advantage of that.
I'm kind of curious to see how involved Nagy is in this draft process.
Oh, he'll be involved. He needs to piece together his offense, his style. So, but again, the Chiefs didn't go after those top receivers. They kind of got the later guys and developed them. Look at Tyreek Hill. Like, who else did they have a receiver? Like, no-name guys. Tyreek Hill was a no-name guy. So maybe he goes that route. Maybe he gets some sleepers. Maybe he gets to develop Jarvis Landry.
I sure hope so.
We'll see. Bears should be fun. Should be fun to watch the Bears. It's impossible to predict the Bears pick. I've noticed that, so I try, but it's not going to happen. The Bears are very unpredictable. They always surprise us on draft day. But that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Please vote for your fan voted mock drafts. Link in the description. And please like and subscribe. Did I already say that?
Yeah, you said that.
Oh, okay. I said it again.
Can't say it enough, you know.
That'll do it. Goodbye.